Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card reading. So today's reading is getting messages of empowerment and revelation from Lilith. And my reasoning for wanting to do that, or the inspiration for that, is that the wonderful Angela Rosler, who is a creator of the Lilith and the Machine, I don't know why I'm having trouble saying that, Lilith and the Machine tarot deck, which I've used before on this channel and will often use because it's very beautiful, has just brought out a companion oracle deck. So you can see three of the cards there. And this deck is like its tarot sister, I guess. Very people-centric. I feel that she has a brilliance in the way that she can depict personality aspects, personality dynamics and so forth, both through the tarot and its traditional meanings and so forth, and also in this deck in particular, which really looks at types of energies, almost it's kind of archetypal. I'll be fascinated to actually talk with her more about her design for this, but it's sort of metaphysical and mystical and archetypal. And so what I wanted to do is celebrate this deck being released. It's very beautiful, as I say, just like its companion tarot deck, which will be the tarot deck we use in this set of readings. And I felt because of that sense I have of her work, about how deeply personal and how deep it goes with that as well, her work is, that it would be good to experiment with asking Lilith about either aspects of yourself or aspects of key people around you, and let her decide what she's wanting to talk about that will empower you or bring a revelation in some way. So how the reading's going to be constructed is that this first card for each pile is going to be one of the people involved. It could be an aspect of you, it may be an aspect of someone else. There are two other cards from the deck, I don't know what they are, that again could be an aspect of you or could be an aspect of someone else. So we literally, and we're going to use a binary way of working that out at the beginning of the reading, we literally could be looking at three aspects of you. We could be looking at one aspect of you and two other people. We could be looking at three other people and no aspects in relation to you. So it really depends what she thinks you most need to know about at the moment. And once we've worked that out for each of them, we're going to see what her key message is and some of the aspects, both sort of personality-wise and sort of almost in terms of sort of the light and magical elements and so forth, that are worth being aware of. So this is meant to be something that helps you explore yourself or others that are key to you, or some combination thereof, and as I say, for your empowerment and for your revelation. So I'll just put down the numbers as I always do. Of course, you can go to more than one reading. You might find one reading's all about you and you want to go to another one to sort of see into some other people. That's perfectly fine. So, and as I say, I don't know how that's going to play out exactly as we go through. But to help with the choice, I did shuffle and ask Spirit for a representation of one of the three energies. So there's, as I say, two others. So for pile number one, we have 43, if the number appeals to you. It's about the commitment, talks about loyalty, about obligations, and about dedication. For pile number two, we have 42, and that is the wanting. This is around potentially greed, envy and ambition. So it's a fairly strong sort of thing about what we want to achieve in life. And for pile number three, we have the thunderstorm, which looks at ferocity, anger and unpredictability. So almost like a tower card, I guess. So as I say, these could be aspects of you that it is good to look at, explore and work for your highest good, or they could be aspects of people around you. So see what you're drawn to with that. If none of that particularly works and you just like to go to a particular number, that's fine. If you need to pause the video and think about it, that's fine as well. But when you know what reading or readings you want to go to, as always, the timestamps are in the description box below and I'll see you there. Welcome pile one to your reading. So as I said in the beginning, we have three cards here that may be aspects of you. They may be, some of them may be you and some of them may be other people. So we're going to literally use a dice, and if I roll and it is a positive number, it's an aspect of you. If it's a negative number, it's an aspect of another person. So, and not a negative aspect of them, but it's just an aspect of another person. So we'll get to that. But before we get to that, I just want to look at the energies that we're seeing here. So you were drawn to the reading with the commitment. And so there may well be, if you were drawn to that because of that reason, something within you or something that you're wondering about in terms of someone else. So it could be, are you having issues about whether you want to commit or not? Are you wanting somebody else to commit to you? There could be energies there. And as I say, depending upon which way it goes, as I say, it could be you seeking commitment or avoiding commitment. It depends what the message is. Or it could be another person. There's something in terms of a connection. And I feel that we've got here the waterfall. I'll just bring it up so that you can see it a little bit closer. So this talks about sorrow, acceptance, and chaos. So it suggests to me that if this was you, and I'm going to maybe say that first before I do it, I think that this would be saying that you are thinking about commitment in the wake of either a relationship that didn't work or grief or loss in some way, or that you have found that these two issues can connect and bring a form of sort of chaos and emotional catharsis that you need to go through and sort through. So it may be picking up if you are around a committed relationship, do you want to support it? Or if you're looking for it, are you drawing in the right people or the people who are more chaotic? Then we have the Watcher. So the Watcher is about enlightenment, mastery, and isolation. The thing that strikes me about this, and as I say, it will be interesting to see whether this is all aspects of you or other people, is that this feels like a very much a relationship-based card around where do you take a relationship next. This is a card that has to do with what might be the types of things that would stop you potentially wanting to do it, or the things that make you nervous about doing it. And this is very much a solitary card. And so if this is all you, the feeling that I would be getting is that you are watching the behavior of someone else to see if it reflects something you've gone through before. Just if it's classically, I was reading this around you in terms of a relationship, and it doesn't have to be a love relationship. It could be a business partnership. It's you stepping a bit aside, being a little bit unsure. You can see the faces here are kind of looking a little bit unsure. What is the choice going to be because of something that has not worked before, or because you are worried about the implications of a commitment not working? If it is other people, then this could be one particular other person who you feel is a bit detached, won't commit, and has a chaotic influence on your life. It could also be you and two other people, one who is watching something very carefully and another one who is also triggering something around it. So we will see what we get. So what we're going to do firstly is see whether or not these are you or someone else. If we get someone else more than twice, or more than once, we're going to see if it's the same person as well. But firstly, just on a binary level, as I said, we're going to look at the Watcher first, and we're going to ask, is this about you, an aspect of you in this situation, or is it an aspect of somebody else? And as I said, if it's a positive number, it's you. 2, this is you. And it's interesting, it's 2. I think you're watching one particular person around a situation. So let's see, is it you also that is focusing on commitment? 10, yeah, it is. So you are watching around an issue around commitment. Let's see again, is this you that is dealing with sort of sorrow and acceptance and the sort of chaos sort of energy that's around the waterfall, around the emotional side, or is this somebody else having an input? 2, okay, these are all aspects of you. Okay, so that might be why I felt drawn to talk about this. I think that you are watching a situation at the moment that could become a commitment. It may have been one that didn't before and has another opportunity, like a reconciliation in some way, or it could be that you're seeing patterns that are similar to something before. So what we're going to do is look for each of these cards, starting with the commitment, then the Watcher, and then we will move eventually to the chaos as well. But I'll just put this so that you can see all the cards at the moment. And we're going to use tarot to see a little bit more about what Lilith is saying to you about this. So this is all aspects of you understanding some issue around commitment. So and as I say, commitment, connection, whether you want to do it, whether someone else is doing it, all of those sorts of things. So if that doesn't feel like it's something that you're interested in the moment, then maybe try another reading. But at this point, it's very you-centric. This is a message very clearly for you. So firstly, we're going to ask for a bit more about, from Lilith, a bit more about the commitment, the dynamics around the commitment, and why that is a key aspect for you at the moment for your empowerment and revelation. So we have the Queen of Wands reversed, the High Priestess, the Six of Wands reversed, and the Lovers. Okay, I would say for most of you this is probably a love relationship. It could be. I mean, Lovers doesn't always have to be romance, but I would think, particularly when we're talking about the two suit cards being wands, which are often about passion, I suspect that's the case. So I think that this is, Lilith is saying to you that there is almost a potential suppression at the moment, both of your internal knowing. I think she's trying to rise to tell you something, and your sense of self brought about by something to do with a relationship. So it could very well be that you are with someone, particularly if this waterfall aspect is this sort of sense that you are constantly trying to work out by watching it what's going on. If you're around somebody who is not being clear about whether they would commit, what they actually want, I think that Lilith wants you to think about, is this affecting your self-esteem, and are you being recognised? She's saying that you have the instinctive and the intuitive ability to know this. So, and I think she's going to say, we will see when we get to it, but I think she's going to say, don't be worried about the waterfall. Don't be worried about the chaos, because it's in the core of that. It's actually probably a combination of your capacity to watch almost in a detached way, but also to go into the emotion, that you will get the answer you need. But it looks to me as though she is saying there is something about this relationship that is making you doubt yourself, and she doesn't want you to doubt yourself. And so, it isn't saying necessarily, and we'll see what else we get, it isn't saying necessarily that it's a bad relationship or that commitment won't be there. It could be that past patterns make you second guess it before it even happens. It could also be that the relationship is good, but the person hasn't yet shown their hand enough for you to sort of feel recognised, seen, and so forth. So you're not sure if the choice is yours, and you're having to go on instinct. This then leads, I think, to the energy of the watcher. You are you are probably someone with this card that tends to go into your mind when you don't have the information. And I think Lilith wants you to go into your intuition as well, and probably your heart, but we'll get to that. But let's see what Lilith wants to say about this energy of yours around watching and sort of like, in a sense, taking back the mastery, because this is about mastery, and turning those wands around would be taking that back through almost a detached observation. Let's see what she's talking about there for you. Four of Swords reversed, the Nine of Cups, the Queen of Cups reversed, the Hierophant reversed. Okay, so I think what she's saying is that there's a fundamental, almost philosophical thing here going on. I think she is saying it is good to be a bit detached and watch, but only for a period of time. With the Four of Swords reversed, you can't kind of separate out from this and just keep it at a bit of a sort of mental distance for too long. She is saying there is the prospect of something, a wish that you would have, and the only way you can have that wish is not to just be observing, but to move forward as well and to back yourself with your mastery. But she says that there could be something about this where your idea about commitment, your idea about emotional sort of loyalty and fidelity is different to the other person. The only way you're going to find out, she says, is actually connecting with the person. It's like there's only so far you can go with the observation. She is saying the observation is good in a way. It gives you a certain degree of detachment to work out what your dream is around this, but it is likely that there could be a difference here, and you're going to have to be able to determine, is that a difference that you can absorb and be happy with? Is it a definitional difference but not a qualitative one, or is it something that's a deal breaker? An example might be if you are someone who is very traditional and would like to particularly in a love relationship, to get married, to have children, all of those sort of things, and the person that you're with is not traditional like that and doesn't think that you need that, that can be either something that you work out together, or it can be a deal breaker. And I think she's saying that once you know what the difference is, then you can use your mind, but you're going to have to go within your intuition to work out whether there's really even the joy associated with it. And if it's not a love relationship, if it's business or something like that, there's still something different. One or other of you has a very different view about how to structure this relationship and how to confirm a commitment to it. But you won't know if you just observe from a different distance, she's saying. So then we have the interesting wild card in all this, the waterfall, where we're talking about the potential for sorrow. So this could be triggered by things that haven't worked before, but also acceptance of maybe difference, and chaos. So what's the wild card associated with all of this? Queen of Swords, the Five of Swords reversed, the Star, the Three of Swords. Okay, the wild card in all of this is one or other of you is not going to let go easily if this difference comes up. Maybe neither of you will. So I think the first thing that this is saying is there's something very, very key about this relationship to you. Like it's either one that you've been in for quite a while and you're wanting to see if you can take it to the next level, or it's a business partnership that has a lot of prospect, whatever it is. But I don't think that you fully understand the other person. You're not clear or sure about them. And that's why she's saying you've been observing it for a while, and probably because you've seen patterns like this before or something where it hasn't worked out. So you're a little bit on guard, and that makes sense. But it's only in exploring it you're going to find out. But she is saying be ready, because you are going to be different in some way. It doesn't have to be a deal breaker, but it could be. If anything was going to be the deal breaker with the Three of Swords, it's going to be this difference of idea about how to almost structure the relationship. Having said that, there is still a lot of hope that you could find the way through that. There is maybe a light to come through it. And one or other of you is not going to give up. Just not going to give up. And the mind really steps in here. So, and it's a sharp mind. So if it's your mind that's playing here, there's a sort of a sense where the way that you manage the disappointment, or you manage the sort of history that you have to like try and work out whether this is something you can work through, you'll go to your mind to do it. And I think that's what she's been saying. It's like you're at the moment you're doing that, you're doing it too much. You can eventually come back and make an intellectual decision around this, because this is part of who you are. And then you will decide, whether or not you're going to give up. But even if you give up, I don't think the other person's going to. So this is an interesting dynamic, whatever this is. So I think it's kind of like it's really pressing towards trying to work out how to find the middle road, the middle way in whatever this energy is. So to try and help with that, what I wanted to do was look at some personality aspects, some magical aspects. And because I felt the nature of this could be a little bit challenging, because we're having Lilith talking to you. So we're getting to the depth and the shadow to find that enlightenment and that revelation and that empowerment. I thought I'd start firstly with, from the Two Penny Oracle, a personality aspect that could play in your favour, or something that you need to be aware and manage in each case. And these are all how you are dealing with this. So these are all aspects for you. So this first bit, where there is a wish for some sort of a commitment, but you're a bit worried, I think, at the moment about whether what you bring to the table is being fully recognised. The sort of personality aspect that Lilith suggests that you look towards is eventuality, curiosity, disinterest, intrusiveness. Okay. This is how this is operating, actually. So it's saying that the answer to this issue about if you're not feeling seen, or you don't feel you have enough information to make the decision, is you need to be curious. But it's how you do it. At the moment, you may be almost seeming detached and disinterested. And if you go too much within the mind, because you have a very sharp mind, you could feel intrusive. It's about how to be curious to see whether or not this has that kind of wish fulfillment energy. So given that that's pointing to that as the answer, let's see what she says about being the watcher and how to get this balance right. Conscientiousness, ethicality, and making sure, sort of like that you don't go down the immoral or the kind of undisciplined and unscrupulous side of things. So this is interesting. This is something for you to think about how you get this information. I think that most of you have had sort of something like this happen before. And there's a sort of a side of you that would really like to kind of delve in and get all the answers, maybe before the person's even ready to say it. So there may be an issue here about how do you do this ethically. And this, I think, curiosity, this one points back to this one. It's like taking a curious and ethical approach to determining, what is a kind of spiritual and kind of emotional connection with this person can work for you. But it's not a thing, and I'm going to be quite frank here, to sort of use any more intrusive ways of getting the information. It should be, that's why we have the Four of Swords reversed. Don't sort of like try and find out through other means. Go direct to the source, I think is what this is saying. That will be the most helpful for you. And then to deal with the energy of the waterfall, where it looks to me like there's a kind of a precision of mind, but I feel this might almost be the other person if you decide you're not sure if it's going to work. I think it's going to be more to deal with the other person. So let's see what she is suggesting there. Acquisitiveness, ownership, profuseness, avarice. Okay. This is putting an interesting perspective on it, Paul, and I have to say, because I feel like this is, even though this is kind of, it did say it was an aspect of you to be aware of something before, I think you've seen this pattern before, and I think what we're seeing is that this person, you attract maybe people to you that kind of want to own you. This is like right up the top here, we've got the sort of issue about whether you're being seen enough. There is something there going on, but it's very different. And now we have this. I think this is the thing. What she is saying to do in this situation, when you're exploring curiously, ethically, like you don't cross any of those boundaries, it's maybe less important about what the structure is and more important that there is a genuine thing here, whether it's in business, whether it's in love or whatever, a genuine thing here that is not about you being a possession of somebody. So this is very interesting. This is bringing up a very powerful sort of issue around how you may, whether it's in love or in other relationships, how you may try and empower yourself when you're dealing with someone who I think is a bit controlling. So, and it doesn't surprise me in a way in doing a reading based around Lilith that we could see these sorts of things. But I think Lilith is saying it could be either. It could be that that's the case, or it may not be. The key, I think, is this, but are you going to be able to find a way that it works together for both of you? Or is there something not right in the emotional connection? There's not a connection between the emotion and the structure of the thing. But to be aware that this person puts a lot of store by this, won't want to separate. So you'll need to work out what you do with that if that's the case. So maybe it's good that the next thing I wanted to do was look at, magic energy you can bring, at each level. So let's see, when looking at the commitment issue, and as I say, this sort of sense where, what's the price of it? That's what I'm sort of feeling here is the question. What is your magic that you can bring to this? Let the past die, Raven King. Okay. I think she is saying that you may be thinking this is like something before, but it's probably not. However, as I say, if the last person you're around is possessive, there's still the possibility, and it's likely to play out like mind games. So I think this is why she's not saying don't do this. She's saying, like, be curious, but like you're going to need to make your mind up in the end because there's a mind thing here. But she is saying that don't go into it expecting it to be like this other thing. You need to let the past die so that you can truly and openly and ethically, because if you thought, if you've been around someone who's controlling, for instance, and you've come across somebody else and they're very strong-minded, and I think you're probably strong-minded too, I think in this situation, you might think, oh, here we go again. And so you might almost use your curiosity to almost look for the problems rather than looking for the solutions. But if, of course, you don't feel that's going to work, it's like, don't feel you're going to get trapped in something again. Don't feel like it's going to be chaos. Let that energy die. Okay, so when you are trying to balance this sort of like almost detached watching energy with actually experimenting enough to see what it really is, the magic for you is true to you. Yeah, what is true to you? That's the key, because the Queen of Cups is reversed here. Now, this could be just you worried about it. I'm not saying this is necessarily how it's going to play out, but you are not going to know. I think this person, this energy reminds you of something. And you're not going to know unless you actually go into the curiosity. Then you can make your decision, but you need to be true to you. So also don't in sort of like being curious or whatever, do it in such a way that it's not, you're kind of like being so detached and you're not showing who you are, because it's going to be, the core thing here is going to be whether or not your different approach to these sort of things is going to be able to be worked out. So then let's see with this, we're dealing with the outcome of this. Since she said don't go to the past and think it's necessarily going to happen. So what is her advice in terms of magic there? Focus on friendship, magical friendship. Okay, so maybe that's what she's saying is the way not to go into this pathway. And it's almost like if this is about a potential love relationship, then it's like enter into it with the curiosity and the kind of ethics you would with just a friend. Because we do tend to ramp everything up to 11, so to speak, when it's around a potential love interest. So it might be just kind of don't go that heavily into it until you see, make it a friendship. And as a friendship, most of this other stuff will be easier to deal with. It's harder for a friend to try and be possessive. But if they do try to be possessive, you know something else is going on. A friend should also be able to make you feel good about yourself. And if this person isn't and there are other friends around you, focus on that. That's the way you don't get trapped in this energy and you don't go back into something in the past that maybe didn't work. So I also wanted a very positive energy. So I have a deck called Luminous, Humanness, and I want to kind of look at that as another sort of piece of advice for you across each of these aspects. So for, again, the commitment, the core question of this, the commitment, and whether you want to commit or another person wants to commit and under what circumstances. We get rings of Saturn. Okay, all right. So Saturn astrologically is, I'll just bring this down a bit. Saturn astrologically is about commitment. It's about commitment. It's about longevity. It's about the serious things in life. It could be karmic. There could be karmic connections here, but it goes slow. So I think this is saying like it is lasting. If a commitment happens with Saturn's sort of force around it, it's going to last. So I think that's the secondary message in here for you, Pile 1. I think it's saying that whatever you do with this, particularly if you do stay in a relationship, whatever the relationship is, it's going to stick. Like the other person is not going to want to leave. So this is why it's so important to explore it properly, because whatever this is going to stick. But the question will be, should it be a love relationship? Should it be a business partnership? Should it be a friendship? And you're only going to know by being true to yourself, but exploring this a bit more. But this is the thing. This is potentially very much for the long haul type of relationship. So therefore, what energy around watching, the balance between watching and observing and actually communicating to find out rather than presuming the outcomes. We get Fountain of Youth, but Fountain of You. This is all about you being true to you. What I'm really strongly getting, I mean, for some of you, you might be sitting there and going, this is about a business partnership. If it is, then you need to make sure that your brand is just as important in this and that you're not like just a functionary working for someone, because you've got something really major to bring to it. So I'm just going to say that. But I think for most of you, this is probably about a relationship, which is it going to be a love relationship or not? Or if it's a love relationship, is it going to be more? And the really core thing here is that you need to make sure that it is fitting with who you are. That you don't give up your choices and your dreams to just get the commitment. It needs to reflect you. You need to feel comfortable with it. That's going to be the core thing. And in a way, I think it's saying you'll get to decide. So I'd be surprised if this person would be someone who would say no to a commitment. It's just whether or not their version of commitment is what you're looking for. So let's also look at, lastly, the waterfall. So how you deal with it, sort of like patterns from before, any kind of like feeling you might have around chaos with this if you don't get it right, because that's kind of how it feels, like you're really trying to sort out what this is. Backstroke through your river of gold. So again, I feel like if the question around this is commitment, I think whoever the person is you're thinking about is a keeper. I do think they are. The issue will be, is it the way that you would want it? But there's something like, to me, gold suggests alchemy. It suggests sort of something that is actually beautiful and something that could be. But it's like, is it a friendship or is it something more? Like, I think there is something, like there's something ride or die about this. The question will be what the relationship is and the kind of balance within it. So I don't think it's an issue of this person would reject you or anything. It's just, like you have to make sure that you stay true to you, and that at the core of it there's a friendship in whatever way this plays out. It's got a lot of perspective. The other thing that I find really interesting about this is, they're completely different decks, but we have here with the waterfall, this sort of sense of a woman in water who's sort of dealing with the sort of grief or sorrow of something that has been an issue before and has been chaotic. And then we have another woman who's in water in a different deck, but she's in gold. So, as I say, if the question was commitment, the answer down here, because the other person's not going to like give up without a fight if if they want to be in your life. I think it is going to be something that a commitment is. It's just, what does that commitment look like, and how do you make the relationship, the connection work so that you can be truly you. But I do think, if that's sort of something that you've been thinking about, there is a way. It's just, I think there's an adjustment, because I think you maybe have different ideas. That's what I think is going on here. So let's just get you just some astrology or numerology advice as well. And we're going to finish up with an archetype that Lilith would like you to consider for this reading. So firstly, just some astrology and numerology. Mercury, yeah, it's all about communication. The other thing about Mercury is it's trickster energy. And I think there's something in this. I think there's a number of tricks you have to be careful of. One is the tricks you might play yourself with the person, or with your own idea about what your ethics are. So be very honest with yourself about how you're finding this out, how you're being true to yourself. There's a trickster energy around really just even trying to work it out, like, are you reading it correctly? And there's a trickster energy if you see this as being something in the past. I think this is actually very different to whatever it is you might be associating it with. But having said that, it'll have its own energy. So just be aware. I mean, communication is very important, but Mercury can be a bit of a trickster. So almost really make sure you think it through. That's where the Watcher works well for you, actually, where once you've sort of done the curious sort of like discovery, you can go within and really observe and think about it. Then we have third house, communication. Communication. It's been pretty, almost tautological in the way that it's giving the message now. And Earth, it needs to ground. And Saturn and Earth, they're kind of similar sort of energies. There is something earthed about this. There is something that's meant to land. There's something that's meant to grow, I think, but it's how you structure it now and how open and how much you each understand each other is the key thing for whatever this is. So, as I say, just to finish off, I just want to get you an archetype. And it's an archetype to think about in terms of the energies that we've been exploring. Kairos. So Kairos fits very much, I think, with the Saturn energy here, and with the sense, as I say, this is kind of ride or die. This is something for the long term. It's just how it's formed at the beginning, and almost the rules of the relationship, like how it operates, is going to really inform how it lasts. Because Kairos is about almost timelessness, being outside of time, but also the duration and the patience of time. So I think that Lilith is just asking you, and this is going back to the High Priestess turning up there, that there is a sort of a still watchful energy. This, in fact, even talks about time being a watcher, and I sort of naturally felt like I put that in the middle, and that's where the watcher is. It's take your time, I think, is really what it's saying. Take your time. What you're constructing here is likely to have a lot of promise, is likely to have the commitment in some form. It's whether or not it's the one you want, but even if it's not, I think you can still find something, a friendship or something in this situation, but give it time. Give it time, and remember, communication is everything, and sometimes you may misinterpret. So kind of like always ground and earth and check whether you're hearing things correctly, and hopefully they will do the same. And that way you feel that you have your sort of like your trueness to yourself and your own self. You don't become almost swept up and owned by the other person. with their strength of mind, but I think that you certainly have the strength of mind as well, pile one. So I hope that that resonates for you. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile two, to your reading. So you came to the reading, you were drawn to the reading with the wanting. And as I sort of said, this is all about greed, envy, and ambition. So this could be an aspect of you or of someone else, but I think it is all about something that is wanted, something. So either somebody wants something from you, or wants something that you want. There could be that going on as well too. There could be competition around this. It could be around career, vocation, could be around personal desire as well, though this feels more like it's around wanting something within the world with the way that it's described there. The other elements here that are interesting is that we have the regret. So this says disappointment, hurt, and expectations. So if this was in relation to you, if these are two aspects of you, it could be that there's something that you want that you haven't yet been able to achieve, or you felt that you should have had and you're still trying to sort of work out how to have it. And then we have the earthquake, which is about instability, upheaval, and trauma. So if these were all you, then I think it would be saying that there is something that you very dearly want that hasn't yet happened, and Lilith might want to be talking to you about how to turn that around. And it's had a very big upheaval in your life. You know, it's caused you some real issues. So she may want to talk about how to get back up and go after it. If this is about other people, then it could be, again, something that you and they want, both of you want. It's caused some form of upheaval or trauma. It could have come out of something like that. It could have been, job losses, for instance, that then have meant there's a want for something new and there's a hurt and so forth. It could be that someone has hurt you. It could be that someone is hurt by your ambition. There could be any of those things. So what we're going to try and do first is work out which of these energies are you and which might be other people. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm just using a dice. And if the number that I roll for each card as I go through is a positive number, then that means it's an aspect of you that she wants to talk about. If it's a negative number, it means it's an aspect of another person. And if we get 2 cards or more that are negative, I'm going to also roll for a kind of yes/no about whether or not it's the same person. So firstly, let's start with what brought you here, which is the wanting, which I feel, as I say, is some form of ambition. Is this your wanting or another person's? Is this an aspect of you? And we've got 8. So yes, and that's interesting. It also, I think, confirms to me 8. I always think classically is the number of material stuff, material growth and fortune. So I do think for most of you who've come to the right reading that there is something she wants to talk to you about, some material ambitions you have. So this part is you. Is the hurt part, is this the regrets part? Is that an aspect of you or someone else? And it's number 9, so it's someone else. So we have another party involved in this who may have some regrets around this, around a relationship with you. We'll see what the energy is, but this is another person. Someone else in this feels hurt or feels that their expectations weren't met in some way. Let's see whether this is another person or you. So the earthquake. 7, this is another person as well. Now, it could be the same person. So what we're going to ask now is, if it's a positive number, then it's the same person. So is this the same person? 5, no, 2 different people. All right. So we have you, which we're going to talk to her first about. You have an ambition, you have a desire you're going after. So she's going to talk to you about that. But there are other people involved in this. 1 has some sense, either they may be a competitor with you or they could be someone who's in love with you but feels you focus on that. We'll see what the energy is, what it is that they want for you and why it's coming up as regrets. And there's another person who is possibly either feels traumatized or may in fact be a traumatic or a upheaval energy around what you're trying to do. So we'll see what she's saying about that as well. So they're 2 different people, pile 2. So firstly, we're going to use tarot and we're going to ask a little bit more about what is it that you want, what does she have to say to you about that, about what you're doing, because it's possible that she could end up saying, and we'll see what happens, that you have all this ambition and desire and it might be hurting certain people and it might be bringing you very negative energy, for instance, and it's like what to think about and what to recalibrate. But it could also be that you're meant to head towards this, but just be aware of these energies. So let's see what we get. So firstly, what does Lilith want to tell you about your desire, your ambition at this point in time? Nine of Cups, Four of Coins reversed, Eight of Wands reversed, Six of Coins. Yeah, I certainly think things like Six of Coins, there's something about a benefactor or somebody who sees you, somebody who could actually do something good for you. I think that this is her saying you are going to get something that you want. This, with the Nine of Cups and with the Six of Coins, you are going to get some material ambition. I think she says that is coming. But what she is saying is that you need to think about the longer term, because there could be almost like golden handcuffs associated with this. Some of your wings are clipped a bit. By getting what you want via something like a job, a new manager, a patron or something like that, and it is potentially very good for you. It may not be the long-term thing for you. You need to be aware of that, and you need to have an escape clause, because it is potentially something that could restrict you in some way. So I'm going to actually roll the dice one more time. I want to ask a question whether the patron could be this person. So again, if it's a positive number, then it's an answer yes. Is the patron or the new manager or whoever is going to help you, because this is a benefactor card, get what you want, is it the same person as the earthquake? And the number is 9, so no, it's not. It's a different person. So that's good in a way. I was just a little bit concerned there. So you're not, this person is not a bad influence on you, but there is a price to be paid for it. So be aware of that. Let's see what she wants to talk about. This person who has regrets. Now, this could be someone who is personally close to you, or it could be someone who is not going to get what they want because you get what you want, and then you may need to know how they respond. So let's see what the energy is for you. Six of Cups, Page of Coins, King of Swords reversed, Nine of Wands. Okay. This person goes back quite a long way for you, maybe even back to childhood, school, something like that, with the Six of Cups coming up. So I think, it could be a past friend, a past love, a past workmate, but there's something from the past. And I think it was a good relationship. I think you may have actually talked about doing something together or having the same sort of career or going after the same things. I think there were plans that you made. This doesn't feel romantic. It feels more like it was plans around a business opportunity or something. And there's something nostalgic about it. There was plans associated with it. They may feel that you have let them down, but they still have a sense of connection to you. So I think the question would be, if you know who this person is, if there's someone who maybe you plan things with. I mean, it is possible with the King of Swords that they didn't follow through too. You might have felt let down by them. That's possible with regrets. They could have regrets for that. If that's the case, they would like to find a way to reconnect. But if they felt that you did not sort of follow through on this, there's still a kind of a loyalty there. It feels like a friend or a potential collaborator or something like that. And there was a good basis to it. But one or other of you didn't follow through, but there's still an energy there if that's something that you wanted to do. And so it's possible, if this is sort of someone that you care about and you do start to get what you want, you may well be able to sort of bring them on board or something. So it just depends. But if they let you down, then they regret it. Like, they really regret it. So, and there was something good there. So Lilith just wants you to know this. Okay, and so the other person, where we've got the earthquake, when we've got this instability, upheaval, trauma, this could be sort of someone who will feel that if you get what you want, or it could be someone who is a bit of a wild card in your existence and can cause problems. So let's just see what Lilith wants to say. Ace of Wands reversed, Nine of Coins, Six of Swords reversed, Eight of Swords. Okay. This isn't the person who's the benefactor who could bring it in, but it could be a person who offers an alternative to you. This is what it looks like to me. This looks like a bit of a self-made person, but they made it on upheaval and so forth. It's almost like a change agent or corporate raider type or something. Like they may even represent to you something aspirational, but they are very, very competitive. So if you were to connect more with them, if you were thinking about, do I take this or do I connect with this person, you may think, wow, look at what this person does. I want to be like this person. I want to connect with this person. But this person is not a good pathway for you and would tie you up even more. So what this is saying, I think, is that you might have a choice of options at the moment. This could be a much more conventional role and sort of something that's more entrepreneurial. But right now, if you go with that because that looks like, oh, this is how I get rich quick scheme or something, it's just going to trap you. It's not the right direction. And it causes upheaval because there's a lot of competition in this person. This person almost likes sort of destabilizing things. They almost make money out of it. Like there's some energy to be careful of there. This person, I think, there is a really good option here, but it's just be aware. Let's know, it's for a particular period of time. But you've got to think about what you want because this could be more attractive, but this actually is potentially a safer bet and one that is not. This feels it's tricky. I think that Lilith wants you to know there's a person that could be like a siren call, but that's not good. There is someone who potentially you could reconnect with, who there is something around this, and eventually at some point you could work together. So let's have a look at this. So I firstly wanted to have a look at personality aspects. So the first one will be a personality aspect for you to help you make this decision. The other will be personality aspects that you may encounter with these two people, also to help identify them and to know how to deal with them. So firstly for you, for your ambition and what your drive is. Suavity, agreeableness, condescension, disingenuousness. Okay, it is saying, I think what it's saying is that you're very good at presenting yourself. And this character looks quite suave. You're very good at presenting yourself. And that's going to help. And being agreeable, going along with things, as sort of the Nine of Cups energy is likely to bring the kind of thing you want. Don't get too full of yourself, pile two, with the condescension or whatever. I do think you're about to achieve something materially. And I think you deserve it. And as I say, it's not necessarily for the long term, but it is a step up. So remaining agreeable, remaining good with people keeps all your options open and allows you to have that escape clause at the point that you need it. So just be careful about that. I also think it's pointing a little bit to this. I think there's something where almost the appearance of this person could be very attractive, as I say, but it's a bit disingenuous. So I think it's also warning a bit about that. Let's have a look at the personality aspect around the person who has some regret, around a kind of more nostalgic connection with you, I think. Veneration, devotion, idolatry, sacrilegiousness. Well, this person might have a huge crush on you since they're still around after whatever this is, or they very much look up to you. So I think there's something genuine there, but I think, and I think that maybe, be aware of that. This is someone who would be devoted. They're still there even with that, and if something went wrong, they really do regret it. But they do kind of idolize you. So I think just be, depending upon the nature of the relationship, just be kind of gentle around that, I think. And then with this person, who I think we're going to be particularly looking at the more negative aspects, because this person is not to be trusted, I don't think. What we get is weight, equilibrium, instability, apportionment. Yeah, this is the thing. They may seem like weighty. I think this person seems very successful. As I say, they seem aspirational, but they're not to be trusted, I don't think. Their whole thing is around creating instability. That's how they grow. So that's how they get on. And they seem to have a lot of gravitas and all that kind of thing, but it's not, they'll appear to be equilibrium, but it's not going to last, The only kind of equilibrium you're going to get is to be stuck in one spot, basically. So I think don't give too much weight to this person, I think, is clearly what Lilith is saying. So we also wanted to look at some magic. So we're going to look at magic that you can bring to this, and also the magic of these others to be aware of. So the magic that you can bring to bring about what I think is coming for you, which is a step up, a successful move, a successful patron connection, whatever it might be. For you, we get release your pain. Okay, so you might have been disappointed too. Maybe you were disappointed by something with this person, as I say. So I think they do regret it. But there is kind of like, I do think this has the feeling of you really have a drive and maybe it didn't work out before, but I do think it's going to now. But you need to release the pain, because the pain may also, see these foxes? The pain might send you in that direction if you feel like that's a quicker route, if you were frustrated before, but this is a risky route, so don't let your pain drive you. The energy, the magic around this person who has regrets in this is be kind. Charming. Okay, yeah, be kind. That's what I feel about this. Like, I think this person really looks up to you, really cares about you. If it fits with the situation, may well have had a crush on you. I think they're quite a kind person too. Maybe there was even a misunderstanding. It may well be that, in fact, neither of you let the other down, but there was a misunderstanding with the King of Swords reversed. It could be that as well too. They're there, they're devoted. It's just be kind, and they're kind. I think they have a kind energy. Then we're looking at like the earthquake here. Let's see what their magic is. Emotional strength, eye of the storm. Yeah, they love it. They love a storm. They love drama. They love everything to do with that. And they may well be, like if this was sort of in YouTube world, for instance, then this could be sort of someone who, loves the drama when everything falls apart and gets amazing videos that everybody watches or whatever. And it could seem like, gee, they make a lot of money, they're good, but it's all about the drama. It's all about the storm. And so they sit themselves in the eye of the storm. So they weather it all, but, like everybody else is caught up with it. So they have a weird kind of an emotional strength that comes from liking this. So don't underestimate them, I would say. They're not sort of going to kind of like blink in the storm. They're at home in the storm. Okay, there's also a deck called Luminous, Humanness I want to use, which is to show the kind of humanity on another level and on the most positive. So we're going to get that on the most positive on all aspects for this. So for you in your ambition and not getting caught with past patterns so that you can make a wise decision here, we have more to give. Okay, so maybe that's what to think about, because this person's all about chaos. But if you are thinking about like what would be your next step from beyond this and how to really get what you want, think of it in terms of what you can give. It's sort of like that. Turn it into a kind of servant leader type of thing, and that will work really well for you. That will keep the agreeableness up there for you as well. The humanness around the person who has regrets. Wanderlust is a must. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe they separated out from you, but they regret it and they'd like to sort of come back or connect with you again. Maybe maybe at the time when you were planning and thinking about things, they weren't ready for something like that. They went off and did something else because they needed to do that. So as I say, but there's regrets around it. And then around the earthquake, eye of the storm, corporate raider type, we get living and loving in the fifth dimension. Okay. So I think that is saying that their more loving nature is kind of more in the fifth dimension, because this is not a kind of loving energy I'm getting here. This is very much in the world and it's very chaotic. But if you're drawn to this person on a more personal level, it could be because of a connection at the fifth dimension, which is more positive. But this person in the material world plays games and likes the drama, as I say. So just be aware of that. Okay. So what I also want to do to finish off, I want to get you some astrology and or numerology advice, and then I want to get an archetype that Lilith wants you to consider when thinking about balancing your aims here, which I think you're going to achieve, and then the impact on or the impact by the others that we've been talking about. So firstly, solar eclipse. Okay. So I think this energy fits on a number of levels. I think that you are going to your sun is about to shine. That may eclipse past commitments and past ideas, but it's going to draw this energy too. And I think this is like the moon's energy, could cover the sun. It could seem very powerful and very potent, but you've got to be careful that that doesn't override you. So there's something very attractive about this person, but you just have to be careful. 12th house. Yeah, go within. When you're not sure, go within. Because it's very material. This is very much in the material world. And to some degree, if there is a good connection with that person, it's in the kind of more 12th house area. That's where you're likely to get a more honest sort of thing around it. But going within and listening to your psychic sense, because this feels very material, but your psychic ability will help you. And new moon. So the new moon is about withdrawing again. Yeah, like this is saying that you are about to sort of step up into something, I think. But there is this other siren call here, and there's whatever to resolve from a past connection where there are regrets. You just need to go within, because there is a risk to you at the moment. Just as you get the sun really shining, that things could eclipse it. So that's how, if you go within, that's not going to happen. I think Lilith's really more concerned about this person, but feels if you're just kind with this person, then something good could still come from that. Okay, so to finish off, we're going to just get an archetype she'd like you to consider in relation to the advice she's brought to you today. The Temple. Yeah, going within again. So Lilith is saying, she's saying it quite clearly. She's saying you're going to be successful with something. You're about to get a dream. It is probably the first step in a longer journey, and it's not the long-term thing, but it's going to be helpful. And as long as you keep your mind to the next thing and you're agreeable and you do it in a sort of way that is good with everybody, that'll be fine. She does say that there's maybe someone around you that could come back into your life if you are prepared to let them come back in, and if they come to you with, asking for, forgiveness or whatever, it's genuine. But she's also saying that there's something very tempting operating here, but you really need to go within and be sure about it, because this is a chaotic energy, and you'd have to be sure that you knew exactly what you were doing and exactly what you were going to get out of it, because you could feel wounded at the end and they just sort of, fluff it all off and just walk off. They wouldn't bother them. So if you get into a deal with this person, then you definitely need your escape clause. So because otherwise you're going to get caught up in that energy. So go within before you make that sort of decision. I hope that resonates for you, Pile 2. I hope that it was helpful and that you enjoyed it. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome to Pile 3 to your reading. So you came to the reading with the thunderstorm, I think it is. Thunderstorm, yes. And it talks about ferocity, anger, and unpredictability. So this may be an aspect of you that might be what's drawn. If you feel at the moment you're having a tower moment, this would be pretty much the oracle card that reflected that kind of thing. Or if you feel that you're angry about something, you're trying to sort through something, this could be energy, and Lilith could be talking to you about how to deal with that. It could also be that there is someone around you who either is angry with you or angry about a situation, and you're trying to deal with it. Now, what you also have here is the key. So the key is talking about transition, discovery, and threshold. And you have the union, which is talking about consent, sacrifice, and companionship. So if these are all you, I would say there is something about a relationship where you either want to find the key to make the union and companionship happen, or where you're angry because you feel like you've been forced into something or forced around something, some sort of connection, having to work with someone you don't want to work with, whatever it might be, without your consent, or where you've had to sacrifice something for a connection, or you've had to sacrifice a connection. Because if this is you, there is something where there is anger around it, and you are looking for the key. And this is promising that the key will come, and that Lilith can talk to you about the key. But it's also possible that these are 3 people around you need to be aware of, or it could be 2 people around you, one with 2 cards and one with the other. So the way we're going to work that out is we're going to use a dice, and for each I'm going to roll it. And when I'm asking Spirit that when this card represents a part of you in what Lilith wants to talk about, that it is a positive number, and when it represents another person, that it's a negative number. And if we get 2 or more cards which are negative numbers, I'm also then going to work out whether it's the same person or not. We'll do that. I'll explain how if we get to that. But firstly, around the thunderstorm, what drew you here is this Is this an aspect that you are dealing with? 10, yes. So you are either angry about something, or you're in a tower moment, or you're sort of having that sort of sense of like, you could also be having incredible downloads spiritually or creatively, but it's like it's an intense energy. So you're dealing with intensity. Let's see whether or not the key is an aspect of you. 6, yeah, it is. So you are going to probably find the key to this, that you are going to be able to work out the transition, the threshold. Probably this energy, this ferocity, this intensity is because you are on the verge of working this out. So we'll see what Lilith has to say about that. Now, is this union, is that your energy that we're looking at? 2, yes, it is. Okay, so this is all about you. This is probably around either breaking free from something that was a sacrifice, the key to break through of that intensity, or it could be the breakthrough that you need to bring a very intense union, like a twin flame or something like that, into communion, you know, rather than sort of sacrificial energy. So what we're going to do is we're going to line them up, and we're going to ask Lilith one by one with the tarot a little bit more information about it. So the first thing we're going to ask about is, what is this intense, ferocious thunderstorm energy, this almost tower energy? What does she want you to know or think about in relation to that you're dealing with internally? Eight of Cups reversed. 2 of Swords. 10 of Coins. The Moon. Okay, you feel there's something you don't know. This is why you're looking for the key, and it's probably about a relationship, some form of relationship. You feel as though something is hidden from you, and it's really driving you a little bit crazy, I think. Not in the sense that you're literally going crazy, but it's a very intense sort of thing. Plus incredible psychic sort of stuff. You guys are very, very psychic. You're picking up a lot of downloads that could eventually make clear what's going on, but you don't feel you have enough information to make a decision, and you're not letting go of something. Like you're holding on really tightly to something. It's a very emotional thing, but you don't feel that you know enough to make a decision. This is why you need the key. And this is something that matters. It's long term. If this is a relationship, it's a very long-term relationship, or it's somebody that you've cared about for a very long time, or it's karmic. And it could well be, if it was something like a twin flame. If this is around some material thing, then you've put a lot of effort into it, and you've grown a lot with this, and there is something, there's a legacy associated with it, but there's something being hidden, something you don't know, and you're not going to let go till you know. But it's building up within you, and there's certainly a very strong psychic energy. I think that Lilith is wanting to say that you may get to the point where you have to make a decision to move on or move forward. You just have to make a decision, not stay stuck in this thing, because you've kind of reached a zenith with something, and it's only in making a decision to move on to do the next step or whatever it is that you're really going to get any information. That the impasse is almost being caused by what you're trying to protect or keep, if that makes sense. So then we have the key. So this is saying that you could find the key. So let's see what Lilith wants to say about the key for you. Six of Coins reversed, the Star, the Knight of Wands, the Two of Wands reversed. Okay. I'm going to talk about this as though it was around a relationship, particularly a love relationship. It doesn't have to be. It could be a work relationship, or it could just be, internal relationship with yourself, or how you relate and what you're prepared to sacrifice to connect with people. But this looks to me like the core thing around this is a meeting of equals. It looks to me as though that's why there needs to be the next step, because it almost looks as though there's been a relationship around you where you've been kind of the strength in it today. Not necessarily because the person was weak, but there's just something about you've created the legacy almost of what this is. It's part of why it's hard to let go, but you are feeling like there's a shift occurring, whether it's to become more committed or whatever it might be. There's a shift occurring and you don't have the information. The first bit of the key is to realize that you're not the only person who has to make this decision. There's two of you. And that understanding it as equals in this decision is what actually allows the shining star, as opposed to the moon, which is only ever light that's reflected. The star has its own shine. So I think there is a sense here of allowing the equality in this situation. It opens up the passion. It allows you to have a sense of movement again. And it's saying, again, it's not just your decision. So seeing this in that space is the important thing. You may feel very frustrated because you may feel like, you feel like what the next step is should be X, but like there's a pushback or something's not clear. And this is with an equal. This is with an equal. And you need to recognize it's with an equal. Then you can sort of move forward and so forth. But it's like it's not just one person's decision, it's two people's decisions. That's what Lilith wants you to realize, which makes sense then when we're talking about the union. Like whatever this is, it's meant to be a connection of equals. So let's see what she wants to say about that. Page of Cups, Temperance, King of Coins, King of Wands. Wow. Okay. All right. So I think what she's saying, I think for most of you, this is probably about a love relationship, but it's a very intense one. And if it is like a tower relationship or a twin flame, that's probably why there's all this sort of like, what's really going on here and who makes a decision and how can we move forward? But this is very good. This is very good. As long as the key is found in like a mutual decision, you'll find there's a lot of synergy. It's likely to be very long-term, very solid, very clear. It's likely to be very passionate or creative, depending upon what type of relationship you're talking about. And it's likely to be really well balanced. What this is saying is that the only issue is this is not talking to you about sacrifice. It's about a kind of a mutual decision about what does this want to be emotionally. And as long as that decision is mutual, then it's going to be a very, very good connection in whatever way it is. It's not a sacrifice. Consent would be there as long as it is a consent of equals. So I think there's a bit of a shift for you because I think maybe, and it doesn't matter whether this is a love relationship or something else, I think maybe when you first came across this person, you were in a position of power greater than them or knowledge greater than them or something. There was something where you already had a legacy. But like this is now about equals. And that's the key. And then this looks extremely good. So let's see what Lilith wants to talk about for things for you to kind of use personally and magically to get to this, because this looks about as good as it gets, really, around something like a union. So, and if you've been looking for love and you haven't found it, you felt like you've dealt everything materially and so forth, it's kind of saying, put it out there to the universe. You want to draw in an equal. And then that draws that in. So I'm going to first of all use a two-penny oracle that has personality aspects, and we're just going to look at a little bit more information for each of these aspects. So firstly, for how you deal with this really intense feeling, because you have a lot of intensity. And you would need an equally intense person, particularly if it's a romantic relationship, but really in anything. You need someone at an equal level to you. So what does Lilith suggest you think about? Touch, sensitivity, numbness, tenseness. Okay, yeah. You can just imagine this character with all that lightning going through them, how sensitive they would be to the touch. You know, how tense they could potentially be dealing with that amount of energy, how numb they could get with that amount of energy. It's about calibrating your sensitivity. And that's how to use the moon energy well, I think she's saying. The emotional thing of touch, connection, sensitivity, it's almost like that could ground the energy for you. Don't let it make you feel sort of like tense, and don't let it make you feel numb. Like just kind of like see it as kind of like a lightning rod. It's like a radio receiver. You're picking up all this information. And something in your body, like look after your body. That will help you. Then around the key, firmness, fortitude, as opposed to obstinacy or willfulness. So being firm with all this energy coming through about who you are and what your dream is, but you not to be so willful or obstinate that you don't let the other person, like this is like it takes fortitude and firmness really to be with an equal, because in some ways it's either easier to be with someone who's the leader all the time or to be the leader all the time. Being firm and having fortitude towards this, understanding that energy is the thing that's actually going to really help you. And then the energy around the actual union itself. Veneration, devotion, idolatry, sacrilegiousness. Well, yes, don't get into idolatry and all that kind of thing. But I think this is just saying it's a very devoted connection. Like, I don't know if you've met the person that's triggering this or whether you're intensely drawing that energy in, but either way, as long as you can sort of see it as like a meeting of equals, there's a lot of, and that might be why it's actually important for you to see it as equals, because I think this person may look up to you quite a lot. And it needs to be a shift in the relationship to be equals to take it to the next level. But it's there, and the capacity is there. Two kings. I mean, that doesn't, it's not gender. It could be like this. You could be two royal people, so to speak, within your relationship in whatever form it is. Okay, so I wanted to have a look at the magic that Lilith wanted to bring you for each of these elements. So the magic that helps you with the sensitivity, with the touch, to deal with this intensity. And the fact that, it's a little bit kind of like tower, like groundbreaking, all of this. So the magic to really help you with that. Set boundaries. The Lady of Avalon. The two kings, the once and future king. This is important. It's like the boundaries for yourself and for the other person, and to make things equal. And that helps you deal with the intensity. And if you don't have all the information, just you know what you want, you know what that would mean, and you know what an equal would mean. So like set the boundaries around that, draw in that sort of energy. Then for the key, the magic around the key for you. Follow your dreams. Okay, so pay attention to what your dreams are telling you, quite literally. But also it's saying, like, follow, with the Knight of Wands there, follow your dreams. You can have this. You can. Trust in that. The key is sort of understanding that you can, really, and that you don't have to force the issue. The other person's going to sort of want to be involved as well, I would say. And then the magic around the union that could arise from this. Release your pain. It releases the pain from the past. And the pain, like that looks like getting a migraine, to be honest. The pain from the beginning of this was so overwhelming. Release that, because there is such a, this is really positive, I have to say. It's one of the more positive relationship readings I've seen for a long time. And it's interesting that it's Lilith talking to you about your personality and your responses and how to deal with this. So I also have a deck called Luminous, Humanness. And so I was trying to look here, particularly for the light side, like that kind of energy as well for each of them. But I think there's a lot of positivity here. But let's first of all see the sort of very human side of you around dealing with the thunderstorm energy. Warrior, not warrior. Oh, I love it. Warrior, not warrior. Just bring this up so that you can see it. So don't worry. Just go forward. Just be clear. But it's like, it's brothers in arms, and I'm saying that it's again not about gender. It's like this is, you're finding your equal. Don't worry. Don't worry so much. So intense. Okay, then when the key, the energy around the key for you. You are already golden. And I think there's a double message in actually the golden key for a start. Isn't that interesting? But I also think it's saying that I do think there's something about this connection where you may have been, when you met or whatever, or if you're about to meet, that you may be a little bit more powerful or a little bit more advanced and something. I don't know what it is. You're already there. But the thing is that this is going to kind of like bring in and draw up the person to like this equal level, and then you're both golden. So it's like knowing that, like, this is not, you can do it. You can see this person as an equal without lessening yourself. It's actually because you're already golden. And then the union energy, the human energy around that. In the world, but not of it. Okay, I think for quite a few of you, you may not have met the person yet. They might be coming in and you might have a sense of it. If you have met it, then it probably is some sort of soul twin flame type thing. Because there's something quite ethereal and magical about this connection. I would also say there's something very spiritually, psychically connected, like in the 5D or whatever. You may well, if you do know the person, you may well have dreamt about them or had symbols around them or synchronicities around them. There's something that's quite spiritual and otherworldly around this energy. Okay, it's pretty exciting. Okay, and I'd love to hear about it. If this resonates, I just think it's a really nice energy. So let's have a look at some astrology and numerology as well for you. Grand Cross. So yeah, it'll feel, or it may feel at the moment like it's really tense, but like the Grand Cross also sort of brings something into being, something into electric being. So we will have a look at the planets, but you might tense it all at first, but it's like using your sensitivity, staying firm, because there is something really beautiful here. Then we get Venus. Yeah, I do think this is about love, or it's very much a wonderful relationship anyway, if it's not a love relationship. And Aries. Yeah, and it's about passion, it's about action, it's about instigating something, but it is also about working out like one's own ambitions and all that, and the ambitions of others, and how to work that through. So let's just have a look at what the planets are with that. So I'm just going to deal out till I get them. Bear with me because it can take a little while to get them. There's a lot of cards in the deck, as I often say. Jupiter, well, that's good. Like the planet of expansion, goodwill, kindness. The sun, yeah, and how you're expanding and how they're expanding. This is one of the things you're going to have to balance off, how both of you follow your life path in whatever type of relationship it is. Mercury will help. Communication, clarity of communication. And Mars again with Aries. Yeah, there's a lot about personal ambition in this. So I feel like, I mean, it may not be a love relationship, it may be a work relationship, but it's a very good one. But if it's a love relationship, I feel like maybe you meet through work, or there's a connection to your ambitions. And as I say, there's a little bit of adjustment around that. It's really intense. It's great. You use your communication to expand it, to have both life paths followed, for both of you to feel that you can move forward. Okay, so to finish up, I just wanted to draw an archetype that Lilith would like you to consider when thinking about the messages that she's brought to you today. Pile 3. The Hunter. Ooh. So this is all about going after what you want, and there's a very strong impetus here and a very strong indication of reward, particularly around relationships. But the question that this archetype asks is, like, what are you hunting? Why are you hunting it? And are you using the right weapon? So I think for this, it's sort of making sure, do you feel this intensity? If you feel this intensity about a potential connection in whatever way it is, that probably is what you're hunting. Why you're hunting it is because ultimately it could be a very good relationship of equals. But what's the weapon? If the weapon is, it starts with you being kind of like superior in some way, or like, more powerful. How do you use it? How do you make that more a peace weapon rather than an equalizing weapon rather than a weapon of domination? Because it's about the only thing that could be an issue here. But I do think that all other things being equal, it looks to me like it has enormous promise. So I hope that resonates for you, Pile 3. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.